They take my things, but you're not going to take my soul. And that's a true reality. Steve, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. How have you been helped by the show?
I'm going to tell you this. I believe you might go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black man that ever lived on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody before you that's been that great. You know, freeing the slaves is one thing, but you've been freeing people of their mind, which matters, it should be anyhow, to you more than anything else, because with the mind not being right, there ain't nothing else going to happen right anyway.
If you can doubt every thought because you're not your thoughts, if you can doubt every thought, knowing that you're not your thoughts, you don't create them, they're not from God, that they're from the deceiver, the great deceiver, Satan. If you can doubt every thought, you can be free, just like that. At an instant. Bring every thought into captivity. It's so amazing. So, here's what I recommend. I invite you to download my silent prayer.
I know some people have called in and they wonder if the silent prayer is working. And I just want to take a second and to tell them that it works. You just have to stick with it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I started doing before I even forgave my parents. And I was so depressed and suicidal at some times that I just would have to stop in the middle of my job or whatever I was doing and go into the silent prayer. And it really does help. Like, I don't have those anymore.
Amazing. You haven't seen anything yet. Doubt every thought. Bring every thought into captivity. Just let them all pass. Don't judge them. You haven't seen anything. It gets better and better and better and easier, easier, easier. So my gift to you, no charge, at rebuildingtheman.com/church. I noticed after a while that when these guys overcome their anger, they have amazing ideas about starting a business, but because they've been told that if you don't get a loan from the bank, or if you don't have a 5-year plan, or if you don't do this, and it's just simply not true, it's the first step. With faith, then all things are possible. So, but the most important thing is to return to the Father. That yearning that you have, that emptiness, that void, is not for more stuff. It's not for more friends. It is a return to the Father, because there's no way you can return to God and be angry at your earthly father. So thank you all so much, right? People around the world donated to Bond at rebuildingtheman.com, or they call 800-411-2663, and we're still committed to pointing the right way for men and women to return to the Father. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in, folks, on this fine Wednesday. The week is going by fast, but it's a pleasure to be back, and I see all of you tuning in. And I do appreciate it because we got a bit of a show to get into, okay, on this fine Wednesday. Ash Wednesday, no less, for my Catholics. Where y'all at? How you doing? I see all of you. I appreciate it. I'm welcoming my viewers. I'm welcoming all of you. See? I'm saying, well, you're here and I see you. Even if you're like an animal with no decorum, but you're here. So I appreciate it. You're watching on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby, punchy.tv/Anchor Baby, and of course my viewers here on YouTube. How you doing? They're telling me no more looks maxing, please. Please, they're saying please. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I see your calls coming in and all that, so we're going to get to all of it, okay? That's 888-775-3773. Something's on your mind, something you want to talk about, okay? It's there for you. 888-775-3773. And what else here? We've welcomed the people. You're seeing me. I've said hello. Berated you a little bit. Maybe you need a little bit more. You know, you're not clicking the like button. It's like, wow, what's possessed you to walk around like a slob, looking around to see what you can get? How much more can you stuff in your mouth, right? Scarcity mindset, full of fear and anger. You have no abundance, right? So everything's like desperate for you. We could tell. And you're not clicking the like button. It's crazy. It's insane. Like, if you want to live like that. But anyways, welcome. 888-775-3773. What else here? We got the volume nice and loud. Okay, we're turning a new leaf, okay? Now, one more. Hopefully we don't blast your ears, but I see your calls coming in. 888-775-3773. And what else? You're here. Okay. I want to dive into some of my stuff as the calls fill up here. Very cool. Because it's Ash Wednesday. I do have Ash Wednesday at the top of my packet here. You know, I have a number of things on my mind about tradition and rituals and religion. And so who's got the ashes on their forehead? Shout out to my Catholics in the chat. How you doing? You got the ashes on yet? Are you going to get them? I had the ashes on my forehead maybe once or twice. So, you know, I went to Catholic school. You know, that was a story that had Jesse chortling in delight at the little anchor baby with ashes on his forehead. I thought it was funny too. I didn't know anybody would share in the humor, but it is humorous. You know, I'm just going to Catholic school. They're like, you got to come up in the line. Okay, the priest is going to put the ashes on your forehead. It's Lent. And you got to observe this. And all that, right? You're familiar with this somewhat. Maybe you're familiar with this. Anybody ever do it? Catholic churches are nice looking, that's for sure. I LOL that Nick got turned down by the priest or whatever. That's true. That was a different moment. I was going up for the Eucharist. Okay, we were supposed to get the little wafer, the body of Christ. I had done it before. I've done it before at this church. Okay. I had done it at this church, and I go up. You got to put you guys know, Catholics know, you put your hands like this, right? I forget which one is it on top. Maybe he knew that I had the wrong hand on top. Is it right hand on top or is it right hand below? Maybe he knew I had the hands wrong. He's like, this guy's a faker. He looked me in the eyes and denied me the body of Christ. He said, go away. I, to this day, don't know why I was denied the living body of Christ. I mean, I was shocked. You know, it was funny because it was not that shocking, but it was just kind of humor. It had like an irony to it because if anybody, it's not like I was going around being all like militant atheist. I didn't really say, but anybody particularly close, I shared with people around me they were all getting the bread, and we were all thinking, what's this mean? Whatever. But I was denied, but it was ironic because when I was denied, I was like, wait, but why? It's like, weren't you just saying you didn't care about this? I was like, explain this. This is a travesty. Not really. But yeah, Ash Wednesday. Many have gone to observe this significant Christian observance, right? You're supposed to make the way straight for the coming of the Lord, I think. Tell me if I got that wrong. Pretty sure that we're doing that now. 40 days. I think you're supposed to give something up. People give up meat. I don't know why you'd reveal such a thing. Do you have to reveal that to the world? Can't you keep that to yourself? Like, Lord, I'm going to give up meat this Lent. Don't say it out loud. You'd be saying out loud that you're in a protein. You're in like a protein. Your access to protein is significantly reduced. Let's say you reveal that you're going to get all your protein from tempeh for the next 40 days. Well, then all I have to do is control the flow of tempeh, and I control you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I wouldn't make that so obvious. Like Samson, telling people his hair gives him strength. What the? You're in a low protein average 40 days. So those plotting against you can make their plans, can enact their plans in these coming 40 days. So don't say that out loud. But yeah, rituals, holidays, you're observing it. Many of you may be observing it, making the way straight, fasting, thinking about repentance, preparing for Easter Sunday, the resurrection of the Lord and all that. You know, maybe you had a big old party before. Maybe you had yourself a big old, look at all this fatty food in abundance, you thought to yourself. You looked at your stores. You looked at your livestock and your farm. You looked at your stores of fatty, rich foods that you've accumulated. Lent is upon you, and you must give this up. It would be an absolute waste. You're looking at your stores full of, fatty goods, rich goods that you've butchered yourself, right? That's what you did, right? That's why you had Mardi Gras. And you had to empty the stores out. It's just practical. 99% of people reveling in Mardi Gras they don't have stores. They don't have like stores of rich meats that they butchered from the harvest or whatever, or something, or the last harvest. I hear that's the tradition, right? You've seen them with the beads, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, right? Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. I mean, you may not think Christian, but that's it has some relation to all that. It's related to that. And you got yourself a big old debaucherous festival. But now we're going to get religious. Hey, wait. It's time to get religious. Okay, just forget that we did all that. It's time for Lent. Okay. So you're familiar with Mardi Gras and all that. And that's a tradition I think a lot of people can relate with. Big promises. I'm going to change tomorrow. All right. Amazing. Lent is coming. It's Mardi Gras. Let's have a big old celebration because we got to give it up for 40 days. And I'm going to change tomorrow. Wow. Now that's that's a religious observance that I think many can relate to. New Year's and really everything. Just how people are, human nature. Into your traditions and rituals. You're like, they're going to help me. But they're also like funny. They're funny and shallow. Okay? And I know a lot of people maybe get even like things that they call good from rituals, traditions, holidays. I mean, they're really old. They've ordered society in many ways. Some might see me as the fool who's like criticize. It's so easy. It's so easy for you to criticize tradition, huh? But rituals, holidays, they're for like they're if you think about it, they're for like shallow, lost people. And I want to just kind of expand my thinking here a bit. And then I get to calls right away here, 888-775-3773. Rituals, holidays, Christmas. I was thinking about Christmas a bit. And just thinking about like how does that become popular? How does it become a thing? So let me get back into what I was talking about here. Because you know, a lot of people are turning to religion, young people. So where was I? I mean, I've seen my calls. I'll do what I get to. We're just, you're making the way straight. It's kind of a funny thing about what these traditions kind of really mean to us. You know, what we're promising to do. I was going to tell you about some funny parallels. Other religions. You're familiar with Ramadan? The Muslims, right? They too are fasting, I think, right now. Having themselves a fast. It's Ramadan. And at the end of it, they have Eid. Big old celebration. They're fasting. I think only in the daytime. At night, they can eat. I forget. And then at night, and then Eid comes, right? Whenever, I think in March, mid-March. Eidun Mubarak. Wa alayna wa aminkum, right? And then they have a big old celebration. I think that, I don't know, the Jews are absent from the fasting right now. I think they have theirs some other time. I heard they maybe do a fast for like one day in Purim, like before Purim. But I'm just thinking about rituals, I'm thinking about rituals, traditions, and religion. People turning to it, and what they are looking for in those things. Some are looking for just stability, a wife, and these traditions that can help you lead a better life. Many are turning to those things, and they want that out of religion, that out of their traditions. And that's fine. That's fine. But I think about, for example, like people were asking me, like, there Valentine's past, people were asking me, like, Nick, do you have dating advice, stuff like that? And this comes up again because I was saying, like, I don't have dating advice. That blackpilled some of you. That sent you in a spiral. And I'm thinking about religion, for example, how people turn to, let's say, I'm going to turn to Christianity because it teaches me how to find a wife and how to get a good one. Like, yeah, to some degree, but where's the context? Why would I would never have dating advice for you, because have you seen women? Women are feminists. There can be Christians and they're feminists. You can have money. You could be a Christian. You could find a virgin wife. But if she gets a YouTube channel, starts making money, gets an idea in her head, the ego takes over, and the society is built to like help her do it all. You could be the top football player. You could be and it might get nuked because of the woman's ego. And why? Because she's not following that. These traditions are shallow. They only go so far. And as we get farther and farther from that historical time when maybe these traditions were started, etc., we start losing. We start getting real confused. Like, you start trying to, you start thinking, well, I'm just going to set up a family, let's say, with someone who agrees with that tradition, but it's shallow. The gradient of what they really think it all means, you don't really know. And nobody really asks. You just assume. No one really communicates. I was thinking about traditions, religion and stuff. I was thinking about Christmas. This is one that, it's like Christmas is going away. Christmas is disappearing. It's disappearing. And that's true. It's this American tradition. But I was just thinking about it. I just thought to myself, well, in my mind, when you think of Christmas is disappearing, it feels like this ancient 1,000-year-old institution, this unbroken chain of celebrating Jesus' birth is all of a sudden it's now we're living through the waning of this super old, like 1,000-year-old tradition. We've been just celebrating it unbroken, maybe a little bit different here and there. It's not exactly that, though. More real. I think it's more realistic to think about it as more of like a 19th century American tradition. There was traditions in England going back to like 1600, 1700. And even back then, they debated about this tradition, this winter tradition that came from like paganism, sort of, winter solstice, celebrating winter, this winter hardship. It wasn't necessarily like this cozy family. There wasn't Santa, but there was a tree. And back then they were debating it. There were Puritans, for example, in England, and they were like, what is this weird pagan holiday? We're Christians, etc. And they didn't all quite agree. Bunch of people. The English came over. They created America. You got Germans coming in. You got different kind of European immigrants coming in with their different traditions, bringing over the European winter, those traditions. You got a number of people who really, really capture this vibe, this whole Christmas tradition in like late 19th century, with stuff that we say that we still speak of today, what's it called? A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. They started writing. It's around this time they start writing all the Christmas carols. That's why they still sound the same. They still have that sound. And as America becomes more diverse and Christmas wanes, those songs start sounding more maybe ancient, or not ancient, but like old timey. And there's nothing to revive it. So I bring this up because I was just searching it up because I was just thinking about it. I wonder what's the truth? Is it this like old unbroken chain, this tradition? And it's not. It's like an American tradition, which is what I'm saying doesn't mean we should. What I'm saying still proves that the waning of Christmas is like a waning of an American tradition. It's still a bad thing. But in our minds, this like religion, tradition, all this like this deep. It's way deeper in our minds than we think. It's not an unbroken chain. It's people like looking at old things, remixing it, and it has its use and place. But as we get farther from it, what are we holding on to? I mean, it seems like we're holding on to a false god. It's like, okay, I'm turning to God and Christianity to find a wife and stability. It's like, okay, that's all like suspect now. Not everybody even agrees with that. And then the deeper part, it's like, I'm going to turn to God because like I'm depressed and I have like problems. I need a God to help me. And then you don't get that either. So then what the heck are these traditions? So those were the things I was thinking of on this Ash Wednesday. It's funny to look this up and see how the English Puritans were fighting and saying, hey, that's a tree, that's pagan. And then people today, you realize that's what you're doing. People online, you got the internet. Information is now like free-flowing, going around without context. And that's what people are, when the Christmas thing comes up and they're like, hey, we don't, whatever, you dumb Christians or Americans, this is why America is falling apart, because you guys turned away from God and you guys believe in a pagan tree. It's like, you dummy. What you've been, the internet and this free flow of information injected 19th century English Puritan views in your head, and you're here arguing it as if like that has a place right now. The only in context, anybody saying that and like counter signaling Christmas, what you're really doing is like the only real what's it called? Like conflict with Christmas is an anti-American, anti-Christian one. So leave those 19th century Puritan views from over there. you're just LARPing and really siding with anti-American communists and just people who hate America. Anyways, so Ash Wednesday traditions, I mean, it endures. And people will fight for it. They will fight for their identity, their wall, their border. Some borders are worth maybe fighting for, your country. But I'm thinking about some of these scenes of like the Muslims. Every day it'll be a new video of like Muslims in like the streets of the UK and America, just like Allah. Just they look like invaders. They look like it looks like an invading force, an alien invading force here to pillage. Like that's what it looks like. And then they say like, we want to play the call to prayer everywhere. You can't eat during Ramadan, they're trying to say now. Like, what else is this but like an invading force connected by their ethnic and religious lines here against other ethnic and, religious, especially in their minds, lines. You understand? That's how they see life, and that is their conflict. The conflict is this other race, this other religion, this nation of people, and this, right? They say this out loud. And I was thinking a little bit about violence and conflict, and why does that happen, right? Pat Buchanan, someone quoted Pat Buchanan in this video, as they've shared this video, a quote I've seen before. In the coming world, I think the wars of race, ethnicity, and culture are going to replace the old wars of ideology, dynasty, and empire. I see that coming, and it's not a pleasant sight. I was just thinking about that a little bit, about why people fight. And these students, for example, out there protesting ICE, and they're out there and they're like, they've been told and they believe my neighbor's gonna get deported. This is just my friends. These are family. They hate us because we're brown. They hate us because we're this or that. But those things that those students are thinking are what they're thinking. Someone told them that, they're thinking that, and then when they're thinking that, they go out there and they fight others with what they're thinking about them. And it could even be that others may think and even say those things, but that is what caused those students to go out and protest. When they say they hate me, though they hate my race, my family, they're going out to fight others because of the conflict. That what they're thinking of others is what they're thinking of others. And that's where it ends. And so I was just thinking about that. I'm trying to think about it in my life. I'm like, as everything I've ever fought in my life, everything I've ever thought I'm fighting, has it always been inside me? I was trying to think of an example. Have I ever fought anything outside of me? So, yeah, I'm wondering if you guys notice. Have you noticed everything you've ever fought against, was inside of you? A question I was thinking about. So anyways, people got their religion, people got their team, and they're ready to fight. And then they go home and cry. if I may steal something here. So anyways, shout out, Happy Ash Wednesday. Do you say Happy Ash Wednesday? You're supposed to be really somber or something, no? It's time to repent, because Tuesday was wild. What do y'all think? 888-775-3773. I want to get to my callers. I do appreciate you guys holding. I want to get right to you. What do you guys say here? That's buymeacoffee.com/anchor, baby. If you've got something on your mind, something if you want to support. What's up, Rumble? I see you, Brandon, old saucy, buddy. Where's Jules? But yeah, what do you guys think? Isn't that interesting? Like, I'm not saying down with Santa. Obviously, it's an American tradition, but your traditions are just like machinations of man. It's just mere religion. Like, why would I have dating advice for you? Well, we already did all that. Okay. 888-775-3773. Mark, Los Angeles, California. I appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Nick. I appreciate it.
Of course. Go ahead.
Before I get to the reason I called, I just wanted to take note that I noticed when I call either your show or Hake and I speak off the race issue, I get a lot of support. I get a lot of love in the comment section. But as soon as I say something about a Jew, I got all these bozos hating me. As far as I'm concerned, these people that show me love on the race issue but don't like my stand on the Jews, could stick it where the sun don't shine. I don't need your support. I'll name them if you let me. They know who they are, but they won't call in and talk to me.
I don't even know who you're talking about. Like,
well, you want me to name them?
Wait, name? No, I don't need you to. Oh, who? Like, are you talking about the people who criticize you when you say something about
in
Jews?
The chat, these wise guys.
It's not important to name those people, but listen.
And they're racist, and they agree with me on the race issue. Kevin Howe, Doom Jesus, the Jew boy.
Well, that's not that. I see what you're doing now. No, that's not important, Mark.
Okay,
listen.
I'll leave it at that. But let me just say, I'll tell you why I called. First of all,
I want to get to that, but you said, I just want to throw this out there. It's like, you said, people support me for the race thing, but I say something about Jews and they hate me. Well, don't you think that matters? Exactly. Maybe what you said about Jews was wrong. Is that possible?
Well, that's a matter of opinion, on that. But I mean,
so go ahead. What'd you call it about?
Pardon me?
But go ahead. You were saying.
No, the reason I called today to you was there was a murder that has received very. That's not. I'm sorry. Let me retract. Not a murder. There was an assault that took place in Jacksonville, Florida, over the weekend, I think, or it could have been earlier this week. I just saw it today, where a Negro in Jacksonville sliced a white boy's throat right in front of his parents. He managed to live. He survived the attack, but it was unprovoked, and we all know that it was racially motivated. They won't say that in the paper, and he probably won't be charged with a hate crime, although he should be. Although hate crime laws are unconstitutional. If they're on the books, he ought to be charged.
I think Jesse reported on that this morning.
Oh, he did? Okay, I missed that. But if you look, and I think if you don't mind, what I'm going to do, maybe once a week, if you don't mind. If you don't want me to do it, I won't. I can call your show and release the black on white war against our people that the majority of people in the public don't know about because the news media won't report it. They may report it.
When you say that, you mean like call in once a week to tell like a story like this or something?
Well, yeah, okay. In Jacksonville, Florida, black man stabs white or sluts the throat of a white youth for no reason. That's the story of the week. Next week, I mean, it could go on and on.
Yeah, they were like at a boardwalk. No, I appreciate the suggestion, but my calls are open forum. Anybody could call. We won't make it. I'm not making that a sanctioned week or anything, but you're welcome to call. Listen, this is an insane story because they're literally just at a boardwalk, just trying to have a normal day, and they really it really isn't the same. It's just not. It hasn't been the same America, in my opinion, for many years now, and to just think, I don't know if the boardwalk wherever they were is anything like over here in California. It is a mess, and visibly so. It is clearly deranged people walking around amongst people who are just trying to be tourists or whatever, and you got to watch your back. But
are you talking about Venice Beach?
I think I am.
Okay, yeah, that's a crap hole.
And if that's anything like that, you should know better. But that being said, how can someone say for sure, if they heard you say, Mark, they heard you say this is racially motivated, I don't care what anybody tells me. How could someone hear you say that and say for sure, and be positive at all that it's not. When we're we're in this. It's been like decades of anti-white hate. They're out there just stabbing people on the train, saying, "I got that white woman." Like they're already deranged, right? You're on drugs, whatever, and then you got like a racial hatred. It's like, how can anyone hear you say that and say for sure, and be positive at all that what you said is not true? That's what I would say.
Wait, okay, you got me.
I might be confused you there, but what I'm saying is that it's hard to deny what you're saying is what I'm saying. That this was racially motivated, even if there's maybe no evidence to say so right now or whatever. To the detractors, I would ask them, well, how can you be so sure when white hatred is so allowed and that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, if you're white and you're walking down the boardwalk and some black guy just comes up and attempts to kill you, what are you supposed to think? You don't know the guy. You've never seen him. He's black. You're white. If that's not racially motivated, what the heck is it? I mean, I know that black people make excuses for their criminals, but there's no way around that. Have you ever been on jury duty, by the way? Just as just a question. Have you ever been on jury duty?
I have not.
Okay, well, I have. And when you get black people on the jury and you get in the jury room and the suspect is black and the victim is white, you'll see racial problems right there. That's where you see who these people are. Now, don't forget, Nick, in 1860, when Lincoln debated Stephen Douglas for the presidency, Lincoln conceded that he wanted to end slavery, but there was a footnote to that. He didn't want black people to serve on juries or vote. And he was a prophet. I mean, look at the chaos by them voting and serving on juries. The black woman judge who cut the sentence in half of a Negro who raped, I don't know if she was white. I would assume she was. They didn't show the victim. So we don't know what race. But it didn't matter, whatever race she was. I'm assuming she's white because the racist judge cut his sentence in half from 65 years to about 30 years. So this is going on everywhere. It's not isolated to Chicago or Detroit or Louisville. This is everywhere in the United States. They have corrupted our criminal justice system. Look at Philadelphia. I think you played on your show a couple of weeks ago how they're recruiting people. I think it's for the Philadelphia Sheriff's Department, and they're using rap videos and this kind of thing to recruit people. They're trying to play the music of the criminal to recruit criminals onto their force.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of requirements they look at, but if you look at the chief, this fat black woman chief, she isn't qualified to be a dog catcher. I mean, you could just tell by the way she talks. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of love in the comment section because we're talking about blacks. If I said something like there should be an apology from the Jews for killing Jesus, suddenly this fake Christian down in Ocala is calling me nuts. My suggestion to him...
That is nuts.
Yeah, David, that little sissy from Ocala. My suggestion to him is to become a Jew. He needs to convert to Judaism because he's not a good Christian. And I think...
But that is nuts to want Jews to apologize for that.
No, it's nuts not to. They put him on the cross. They're the ones who were guilty of it. Don't accept him today.
What Jew are you talking about put Christ on a cross?
The Pharisees and the scribes.
Oh, you mean like in the Bible from 2,000 plus years ago?
Yeah, but there's no statute of limitations on murder, so it doesn't matter.
But no, answer the question. You mean those Pharisees from 2,000 plus years ago?
Yes, sir.
So there, I just wanted him to say yes, and let's leave some silence there.
Yeah, I do.
Wait, hold on.
Pardon me?
That sounded ridiculous, right? I was just letting the silence kind of go in there with your yes, because you said we were just making sure you're talking about. Because I asked you which Jews, and you said the Pharisees. You said the Jews from like 2,000 plus years ago. I just wanted to be sure, and you said you doubled down. You said yes, I want Jews today to apologize about this thing I read about, from 2,000 plus years ago. And so then I let the silence run because it was crazy.
No, but first off, the murder does not have a statute of limitations. Secondly, they don't accept him today as their Lord and Savior. And thirdly, they deny that they killed him. So
yeah,
you
but
put
they
all
do
like-
that. They do that because they're like at this point they just do. They're just a different religion.
Well, they're
Like
a
you get that,
religion,
right?
they're
Like
group,
you understand
they're-
that, right?
they're-
Like the people today who are like Jewish and all that, and like you say they reject Christ. It's not like they get into a room and they're like, okay, I'm a Jew and I'm rejecting Christ. They're just born Jewish, right? They're just like a different religion, you know. But for some reason, to you, that's tantamount to being a Pharisee and seeing Jesus in front of you and saying, no, you son of God, I deny you. No, Mark, you're talking about people who are just a different religion. They're born like that. What do you mean? Or am I,
putting words.
you get that, right?
No, I do, but you're wrong.
What am I wrong about?
I'll tell you how you're wrong. Any Jew can convert to Christianity. You have a guy named Zenny, my friend, who calls from Canada. He's accepted Jesus as his personal Savior. He's going to heaven, even though he was born a Jew. Any Jew could become a Christian. But as long as they deny they're evil, they're not going to heaven. And I may not get to heaven either. I'll admit that to you.
What about Christians? Can Christians can Christians who say they're Christian deny Jesus and be a fake Christian, so to speak?
No, wait. Okay, can you please repeat that?
Is it possible to be a fake Christian? Say you're a Christian and all that.
Oh yeah, like the guy down in Ocala, Florida, David. He's a fake Christian.
But he says he's a Christian and he accepts Jesus and all that. So you agree with me that that can happen, that exists, right?
Sure.
So then how important is it then? Because you got this perfect standard. To you, it's this perfect standard. The Jews don't accept Jesus. They are haters of Jesus. They deny him. To you, that means the same thing. But yet, in the same breath, in the same conversation, you have admitted that fake Christians exist. So how important is your heuristic really? How total and important is your heuristic if you can be fooled by someone who just says, well, I'm a Christian. We both agree that you could be a fake Christian.
Right.
So then what's the true mark of having Jesus as your Savior?
You want me to answer?
Please.
The answer is they don't acknowledge their sin of the crucifixion. They refuse to acknowledge it, and they refuse to accept the Lord Jesus as their Savior. That's the difference. Now, again,
sounds just like a fake Christian. Tell me, how is that different from a fake Christian?
But Nick, there are plenty of Jews who have converted to Christianity.
But tell me how what you just described is different from a fake Christian.
A fake Christian is somebody who calls names against a real Christian and
Is a fake Christian just as separated from Jesus as the Jews you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
So then what's your heuristic falls apart then?
Then
what is the true mark of a Christian then?
Accepting Jesus as the Son of God.
But we just agreed that people who say that can be fake. So then how do you know?
Finish, Nick.
Go ahead.
Okay. You have to accept Jesus as your Savior and acknowledge who put him on the cross. If you deny that, you're as fake as that guy in Ocala.
But we just agreed in this conversation that people who say those things can be just as fake as someone who's like a different religion. So then what is the true mark?
Sure. When it comes to Judgment Day, God's going to know what was in your soul. He's going to know if you were... Hake pretends that I'm only lying about accepting Jesus. I'm not lying. I accept Jesus. I have all my life. And I'm going to go after the people that try to kill him.
How do you know? Your heuristic for being a true believer in Jesus fell apart with a single question.
What question?
What is the true mark of a Christian? Because you were initially saying, well, just accepting Jesus and saying you're a Christian and all that, but you also admitted that you can say all that and be a fake Christian and be just as separated from Jesus.
You can, but the only way
So how do you know you're a real Christian?
No, but the only way at Judgment Day, we'll find out who was the fake
So
Christian.
you don't know if you're a real Christian. You'll find out at Judgment Day is what you're saying.
I can only believe what I believe.
But is that what you're saying? You're saying you don't know if you're a real Christian. You'll find out just at Judgment Day?
Right.
That's what you're saying,
so
right?
So will you. And just for the record...
I wouldn't even want to say such a thing. Like for or against. I wouldn't even want to create such a like dialectic in my mind, because then it seems to me like I would close myself to a binary that that a mere person created in his head. Either you find out when you die, or how about don't even make that a question in your mind. Personally, that's just what I'm saying.
Okay, when you die, you're going to be judged, and God, and God will know whether you were speaking the truth or you were just saying things to get to Him.
That's an interesting comment, man.
I could understand.
Would you like to respond to Kevin in New York? I think wants to talk about some similar things.
Yeah,
here.
is that Kevin Howe?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll talk to this guy.
Thanks,
Sure.
Mark. Hey, hold on for me there. Let me just make sure I don't lose you here. Okay, I think I got you. We are bringing in let me see. Kevin wants to merge. We are bringing in Kevin, New York. Darn.
What?
Kevin, man, I just hung up on Mark. I pressed. James, I pressed it 10 times. Sorry, they were trying to give me a tutorial on how to put two people on. But
it's all right. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Kevin. I wanted to bring you in with Mark, which I ruined. I boomered it up, man. I hung up on it, man. But please, is there something that was on your mind as we were speaking? He might call back.
I have a feeling he might. Yeah, he might call back.
Let me see here.
Dude.
Don't go anywhere. Let me test. See if I can get you. How do I get two lines on the air? Okay, so that worked. And if I press this, it doesn't. I don't get rid of you. Okay. I'm mashing this button in hopes that I don't get rid of him. Okay, now I'm going to bring in Mark. I think this is him. I appreciate the patience there, Kevin. You just hold on for me there. Okay. And no.
Hello?
This is
Nick.
I got you on, Mark, but now I hung up on Kevin. It's like
well, he'll call back. I hope.
I just don't understand how to do this.
That's okay. You're good. I'll talk to him if he calls back.
I would love to get that done here in a second. And
Sure.
I think that's him right there.
Hello?
I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, as long as you're not blinking, I think this will work now. See what I think I did. I think I see what I did. All right, we got, as soon as they let him go, Kevin out of New York, we got you on with Mark out of Los Angeles. Kevin, are you there? Yeah. Thank you for your call, Kevin. You're on with Mark.
Hey, there's a lot of things I disagree with what you say, respectfully. But it's also interesting to me on how well Jesus has prophesied about people, even from his time all the way up to now. If we go back to what the scripture says, please take into consideration what your viewpoint of Jesus' crucifixion was, and how it seems like you were angry. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thanks for checking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I just heard something. Sorry.
Thank you.
Well, I've heard over and over again that it's a terrible thing that the Jews crucified Jesus on the cross. And to actually hear me say that it actually was a good thing, it does sound a little bit crazy to say that the Son of God was killed on the cross. But if you go back to scriptures, even the scriptures take note of how when Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, he began to show unto his disciples how he would eventually be prosecuted and killed by the church leaders, the elders, the Pharisees, and the Sadducees and all them. And so the very next person to say something to Jesus was Peter, who is sort of the spiritual a representation or symbolic representation of the church. But Peter says to Jesus, Lord, this will not happen to you. Almost in a sense of he's seen himself as the protector of the Word of God, the protector of Jesus, because he also didn't want to see Jesus crucified on the cross. But my point in mentioning all this is take note of Jesus' response to Peter, which was one of Jesus' strongest rebukes against anyone in the New Testament, which he says, "Get behind me, Satan, for thou savorest the things of man rather than the things of God," to paraphrase it. So I would really urge you to reconsider your recognition of how the Jews, I guess you're saying they were sneaky back then, they're sneaky now.
Right.
Well, I believe that, well, in terms of talking about God, God is more concerned about what happens over the souls of mankind rather than what happens to our bodies. And that the truth of things never really lie on the surface of things. Earlier, I kind of jumped into the show, and you were already talking about the incident between the black man killing the white kid, or whatever it happened.
Kill him.
Yes, we can recognize that as it is, but I'm sorry, I'm not attacking anybody here, but I feel like the things that Lee Peterson talks about is lost on most of you guys, based on what I've already said. I mean, because the solution of all of this is that the person was angry. They're possessed by the demonic spirit of anger, and that's why they did what they did. It actually, that's the truth of it. It's unveiling the surface level talk that we've been engaging in so far, and that's what the.
Are you talking about the guy in Florida, or are you talking about the Pharisees and scribes who killed Jesus?
Well, those were two separate things.
But which were you referring to? You said that he was. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know what you mean when you say who are you referring to, because when I was talking about the Pharisees and the Jews and all that, that was that incident. But the other incidents in which you talked about that attempted murder, it's just me trying to get to the point of how people are constantly trying to derive truth by only looking at the surface level of things. And the truth doesn't lie on the surface. You, me, and everyone else can constantly go on about this person was white, this person was black, but that's only surface level. The problem is the spiritual aspect of it. The guy was angry. You see.
Okay.
You may not be able to you might not be able to know this right now, Mark, because of how I talk to you, but I'm a black person, and I go about my life just on a character basis. You know what I mean? Regardless of trying to fit in any type of particular group. But it's almost sickening to me that I feel like people are doing a disservice to themselves and to their own intellect. If you want to even hold that as anything meaningful, that's something to focus on. Skin color. When these shows with Lee Peterson and Anchor Baby and the Hake Report, we all are constantly talking about the spiritual aspect of it, but we keep circling right back around to the surface level talk. What's that about?
Interesting comment, Kevin. And unless you want to respond, Mark, I got two questions for both of you to get your both perspectives and have a response from both of you here. Unless you wanted to respond real quick, Mark.
That's fine. You can ask the question.
for Kevin, thoughts on interesting comment there, Kevin. Thoughts on going to the Florida situation, the deranged man stabs the throat of this guy, of this teen. You're saying, Mark, it's about the spirit. We're talking about surface things. In your opinion, Kevin, did race have no part to play in this? And do you see Mark's point about bringing that up?
I do see Mark's point about bringing that up, but if that's the only thing that's recognized, then what I'm telling you is that you and everybody else who only looks at that is only looking at the surface level of things. Because, I mean, if you really understand the spiritual truth of what our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is trying to tell us, then the attempt of that black person and wherever they were, the attempted murder that he did on that white kid, he might as well have been doing that to himself if you understand the spiritual significance of what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
do you have a response,
it really
Mark?
isn't a white or black thing. No,
I don't know.
That's pretty much it. Sorry.
And then I have a question for Mark.
Go ahead.
You said you had a response, Mark?
Well, the only response is it's all one way. I'm not going to be colorblind. I see a war on white. Look at the numbers. You people are 13% of the population. you commit over 50% of the violent crimes. Am I to ignore that? Am I supposed to put blinders on and say, God, let's pray our way out of this?
No, but
well, then what
you
else?
also recognize that God also told you that the fight is not yours.
Oh, so we should just let it go on and hope that God takes care of it for us.
To a certain extent, yeah, unfortunately. But Mark, I'm not sitting here and also going to tell you that I don't also see what you're seeing. But God is more concerned. He's going to be more concerned that when you drop your body, whether or not you're going to be carrying around unforgiveness or not.
Interesting.
I agree.
And for Mark, you said you agree?
I agree with what his last statement was.
Right.
However, I want, like I said before on the Hake Show and other places, I may not get to heaven. I may very well not be judged worthy to go to heaven. But I'm not going to be blinded by black on white crime. I'm not going to say we're going to pray our way out of this. Lord, save me. I love Negroes. Jews are my best friends, and all is well. Because that's
you think
not
that would
reality.
get you into heaven if you did that, though?
According to the way is it Brian?
It's Kevin right now that you're talking to.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. We have to put everything in the spiritual.
Do you think,
and forget the reality of what's happening.
Wouldn't you be, if you did all that, wouldn't you be lying? Wouldn't God be able to tell that you didn't mean it?
Didn't mean
that you'd be fibbing, that you'd have your fingers crossed behind your back when you were saying, I love all these people.
No, I never said that, and I wouldn't even say it to God. I'm honest. I'm not going to lie.
I don't say this
so
with
for
any
Mark,
disrespect, but,
go ahead.
To me, it seems like you hold your white identity more important than God.
Well, no. First of all, you know this. Christianity is a white man's religion. It didn't originate in China. It's a white man's religion. The black people were converted to Christianity during the slave time. So, again, I'm not saying black people can't make it to heaven.
Why is there the recognition of both the Gentiles and non-Gentiles in the Bible, and that salvation is offered to both?
Yeah, it's offered, but it's not accepted. It's offered, sure. Anybody could be saved. Any Jew could be saved.
But you're
they don't want
focusing
it.
more on the acceptance of it rather than the offering of it. I just got done
offered.
saying that it's offered to everybody.
You really asked him what I wanted to ask him, so thanks.
No, wait a minute. It is offered to everybody, but everybody's not accepting it. The Jews as a religion don't accept it, and they're the ones that crucified our Lord. I don't understand you people, man. All you Christians that love. Why don't you people convert to
Jesus
Judaism?
also said.
Really? No. Let me ask him, Nick. Why don't you convert to Judaism? That's for Brian.
For Kevin.
I'm sorry. For Kevin.
Why don't I convert to Judaism?
Why don't you
I don't
convert?
know, but my answer right now is because they have the stubborn refusal that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God.
Hello?
Why should he have to, in your mind?
Well, if he thinks that the Jews are automatically the chosen people and will go to heaven because of that reason,
I don't remember him saying any of that, though.
To Judaism.
But aren't you just totally making up stuff he said? Now you're just like making up a conversation that's not happening.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me ask Kevin. Are the Jews going to get to heaven if they don't accept the Lord on this earth? That's a yes or no.
I don't know.
If the Jews, I'll repeat it. If the Jews don't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, are they going to get to heaven? That's a simple question.
I don't know, Mark.
Well,
I don't think Mark knows either.
That's
he admitted it. He doesn't
really
know. He said he doesn't. He says he doesn't know either. He said that Judgment Day has to come, so he actually doesn't know either.
No,
so I don't know what you're arguing about, Mark.
You have to go through his Son to get to the Father, and the Jews aren't doing that. How are you guys blind on this? I don't get it. The early Christians knew it.
But who's fighting you on that? Nobody's really fighting you on that. What you're not seeing, the point we're trying to make is like, you don't see that there's so many Christians that you could put in that camp too. So your little labels and your political, religious affiliations that man has created is not. It's very shallow. It doesn't get to the heart of what you're saying at all. And in this conversation you reveal it because the very same people you say for sure can't be close to God or close to Jesus. There's a whole bunch of people who are doing that you admit can be Christians and say the things you say. So it sounds like you're not very clear on that either. But last comment there, Kevin, please. We got to keep it moving. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, I understand. The last, since I had a little bit of time to think about your question a little bit more, it doesn't make much sense to me because the very fact and function of Jesus' existence here on this earth was to make that sacrifice for us.
I agree.
Now, it's a working sort of theory that I derive from my apocryphal studies as well, that from the very moment that Jesus was born on this earth, he wasn't born with the foolishness and the forgetfulness that we all have, being the Son of God. So he already knew what he was going to do. On top of that, the way was already made, so it doesn't matter if the Jews come to accept Jesus Christ in this life or generations from now. It's just the simple point of the way was made, and it's offered to anybody who wants it. But don't focus on the people who don't want it, because this is the devil's world that's destined for destruction.
Sure. My question to you is, will Jews who are on earth today at this time who refuse to accept Jesus as their personal Savior, this is a yes or no, are they going to make it to heaven?
He already said he doesn't know.
Man.
But Kevin, man,
that's the bottom line here. There's no way out. You can't get to heaven.
But you don't know either, Mark. You're asking. You don't know either.
Heaven without
not only
you said you're not going to know until you die.
I'm not concerned about that, not even a little bit.
You said you're not going to know until you die, Mark.
Well, fake Christians, yeah. The Jews, they're nailed. They've already decided they're not accepting him. Okay?
Not only do I not know, but I'm not concerned about it. Why are you concerned about the question that you asked me?
In regards to the Jews not going to heaven and not accepting Jesus, is that your question?
Yeah, why is it important to you?
Well, because I want to save souls. I want everybody to accept Jesus as their Savior. But listen, let me follow that up.
Why aren't you worried about yourself, Mark? It sounds like you're not sure if you're not going to go. It sounds like you're pretty doubtful if you're going to go. Maybe worry about yourself.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Heaven. Nobody gets in automatically unless God says.
Right. Sounds like you got better get to work on yourself, huh?
I'm doing fine.
Oh.
Here's the thing.
Well, then I wish you well, sir, on all that. I was just saying. I was just mentioning what you said.
But it's pretty evident that if the Bible says you must accept Jesus as the Son of God and you don't.
Well, we're going around in circles on that one, sir. Can you guys call me again on this? I do appreciate it. You guys rock. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Kevin. And
thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, take care, guys. 888-775-3773. Only because we're just returning to the same thing, right? It's like, well, you got to accept him, like it says in the Bible, right? But if that's your heuristic, we had a long call on it. No need to rehash. Now we're going back around. I think that was a perfect time to end it. All right, folks. That was 888-775-3773. A little back and forth with my callers. Not always what we do, but can be interesting. Can be fun sometimes. Try to have a little fun on Ash Wednesday. I mean, come on. We have to give up all this stuff. No, wait. We're not supposed to be having fun. Amazing. I want to get right back to my callers. Thanks for the patience, 888-775-3773. You've been waiting a while. I'm going to get right to you next. But, look, I'm running down my packet here. Let me check my super chats and all my support from my people who just, they want to support. They want to support. And Walken Roscoe is supporting from Germany. Shout out to you, Rich. Thank you for that. Always generous. Moses Props with the back-to-back super chats says, but a guy can dress like a woman and delete people, so color doesn't matter. It's an anger problem. Thank you, Moses. He also super chats the word sin, maybe trying to prompt me in some way. I may have missed it at that moment there. Moses Props. But we're talking about the inside versus the outside there. So true. anger runs people. And these deranged people on the streets, and they're fighting. What they're fighting is their ideas in their head. They hate me because I'm trans, and they're trying to erase me. They're trying to erase my existence, and then they go out and shoot someone that's never even thought about this individual because you're fighting the apparitions in your head. Have you ever fought anything outside of you? I wonder that sincerely. Maybe, I ain't preaching. What do y'all think? Amazing. These people are fighting stuff inside of their heads all the time. Like this one, she's living in a country. She's like, fine, she can speak English. There's money everywhere. There's opportunity everywhere. And she's making that clear that she knows that actually, but in like a nasty way.
Let me hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're
exaggerating.
You're stupid.
A lot less.
To think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just moved here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even...
Talking like this is a jailable offense in my America.
15 American dollars. Not even 15 American dollars.
Wow, that sounds a lot worse than the little, it's just a little bit worse.
Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babe.
So you're mad about all that. Why'd you have to go in? I get you're mad about ICE and it's like political in your mind. You're like, oh, Trump's so bad. But what made you, what inspired this jigulation? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's one thing to be mad about ICE and they're deporting my family. They're deporting my neighbors. These are fine work. That's one thing, right? But why did all that inspire you? What inspired this? What inspired you to then go pick up a camera and instead of saying, you know what, I disagree with all this, instead you said, you know what, let me take the mask off, America. Let me just take the mask off. How about immigrants hate you? And we want to take stuff, and help me understand the logic, because here you are throwing all your immigrant friends, all your families under the bus, revealing to Americans what some already know. See, I appreciate her honesty, because in her anger, she said what is the reality for even like nice people, because it's understand what I'm saying here. That's what everybody does when they move and migrate. Every single one, even the nice, even the ones like, and that's not me assuming an anger and nastiness in every single migrant. It's just the reality of the situation. That's what people do. They move to get more money, to get better situations. It's economics. She's angry about it, and it comes out in a real nasty way. She's an anchor baby. Look at her. She's an anchor baby. She's an anchor baby. No anchor babies in the government. And, it's like they get angrier and crazier and more radical like solutions to this come about. Like now we got to denaturalize all anchor babies. And I would stand behind that. I'd hope in such a future that, I'd talk about it jokingly. It's becoming realer and realer. As people divide, the future conflicts become about ethnicity, race, as opposed to what Pat Buchanan was talking about. It becomes realer and realer. Like the conflict, it doesn't seem like the conflict's ending. So when they denaturalize us, which I think is the right thing to do, at this point, look at how they're acting. I hope that when such a moment comes, that there'll be some creative political solutions here where maybe there's a pathway where I lose my citizenship, but I get to maybe stay a resident if I could prove I'm positive economically. I don't hate America. I don't know how you're going to prove that, but I worked for Lee Peterson. I nuked my whole no, anyways, or something, right? Like, because if you think if you think it would never happen, look at how they're acting. Look at how they're acting. There has to be conflagration in the future, because look at how they're acting. So again, like, what? Again, please, what would inspire such a thing? Like, you could say, "Wow, I'm so mad at Trump, and I'm mad at, like, even racism. It's racism that wants us out of here." But why? You see, she took it to another level of action. And on top of that, because you could say, "But you're racist. You hate us because of racism. How about stop all that? I deserve to be here." But no. She went, what inspired her to go even further and say, and you know what? We're here for now. We actually hate you, and we've been here for we've been lying to you. Mask off. Wow, what inspired that jigulation? You see the logic there? Like, there was no reason to do that, but that's what's in there. Like, strategically, logically, politically, like, it doesn't make even sense to say that. Be like, well, you know what? Actually, we hate you. It's never been kumbaya, and we are against you. Like, the Democrat, liberals, lefty people that are white and otherwise, they should be like, oh, I didn't know you felt like that. Wait, what? And then, like, thinking to themselves a bit. They won't. Jeez. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about. And, you know, it's like this Pat Buchanan quote is in my mind. Oh, it's echoing the coming wars of the old conflicts of dynasty and ideology are going away. In come the conflicts of ethnicity, race, religion. I think about maybe Mark's talking about that, the just being attacked in the streets. And then what do juries and judges do? They see race. That's what they see. So you'll hear Mark and you'll think, whoa, how can you be sure of that, Mark? I say, how can you be sure it's not? You know, there's this story out of San Francisco. This 80-plus-year-old Chinese grandma is driving 80 miles an hour in a residential zone. Imagine this for a moment. Residential, like, there's homes. These are single-family homes. You've driven down those streets, I'm sure. You turn off of a main street. You're like, this is obviously a residential. Look at the cars parked. These are homes. What don't you do in those streets? What would be absolutely insane? Driving 80 in such a street. Everybody knows that would be insane. You're 80. You're Chinese. You're in San Francisco. You got a little money too. Not that that has anything to do. I'm just trying to paint the picture for you. You got a little money. You're in your nice car. You're driving 80 for some reason. Maybe it's an act. I'm just old. Oh, oops. I don't know. You're driving 80. Boom. Right into a family of 4 who was going. They were getting ready to go to the zoo. They're ready to go to the zoo. Apparently some anniversary. And you kill them. You plow through them. You kill them. And you get no prison time. Because you're old. You're 80. And that's the let me pull it up. Let me pull this case up. They say as much, they mentions of your age get mentioned alongside your sentencing and all that. What do you think? Should that individual get jail time? I think, or something, right? Like they, even if it was criminal negligence or manslaughter, I don't know. There's something there, right? I'm not a lawyer. Many are perturbed by this story because they see this judge, this Chinese guy. I don't know. The woman's name is Mary Wong Lau. Mary Fong Lau. This is the judge. Judge Bruce Chan out of San Francisco. You know, I really don't know personally if it's like nepotism and race. This guy just saw his Asian grandma. Was like, oh, you're old. You shouldn't be in jail. I couldn't tell you, but I'll tell you this. I'm looking at some of the comments, and this is like a bigger account. I know it's X, but I want to say that there's like a fair amount of normies, I think, and they're like, it was because he's Asian. It's because he's Asian. That's not a good sign. That's not a good trend for the country. Nobody believing in the juries or the criminal system here. Just assuming nepotism. And personally, I don't know the deal. I'm running the news here. Let's be unbiased. Like, what evidence do I have? But I find it hard to think totally no. I find it very hard because of how divided the country is and how people think. You know, why she's just totally scot-free. Now there's a civil thing going on with this case because this woman, when this happened, now criminally, it's looking like she won't be liable, but they're opening up a civil case against her because this woman transferred almost all of her assets, three big San Francisco homes and a whole bunch of money and stuff, and she gave it off to family. And they're opening up a civil case against her because they're saying this is tantamount to some sort of fraud, because they're trying to civilly sue her and all that for damages, etc. I mean, it looks like she's not going to be criminally liable, but the family's like the other members, I believe, they're trying to make her liable for damages and stuff like that. I mean, you could understand that somewhat, no? I mean, 4 people are dead. A family of 4 is dead. And so what did this woman do? She transferred her assets, her homes, to family members. They're opening up the civil case against her because they're saying that's fraud because she was trying to protect all those assets from being sued over this. Fascinating, no? And we fall into Mad Max world, you know. Can you tell me with certainty that this Chan from San Francisco did not look at this 80-year-old Chinese grandmama and think, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't have the evidence, but I'm just saying, how can you be sure it isn't in today's America? Plows through a family of 4, they're dead. What else? Real quick, and this is my little segment. Back to calls. Migrant beats German to death. Okay, fine. It was in my packet. You know, we're trying to run through this quick now, but yeah, that's the story. Migrant in Germany. You know, they start enacting rail. Everybody's jumping the rail system, right? And so they put turnstiles and start putting things. They start employing people that checks for tickets. One such employee checks the wrong guy's ticket. Migrant beats this guy to death, a ticket inspector to death. And so what do the Germans do? They have a rail safety summit. Let's all get together. We're having the rail safety summit. Let's all talk. What can we do to make this better? What do they come up with? Okay, more body cameras, more security personnel, and also fewer checks that could escalate. The police were wrong for checking. That's what they had a summit. They came together and said, you know what would stop? You know what we should stop doing that's resulting in the death of our employees? Checking those tickets. So we're going to stop that. Help me make sense of this. The West I grew up in. What's going on? What is this rot? Amazing, right? And the paywall thing is so important. You see these they're putting up turnstiles and making you check for tickets. What you don't understand is the paywall is one of your last bastions, one of your last tools of civility. And they're taking that away. You see, people have had to move hours away. They do 2-3 hour long commutes to get away from the great centers of civilization that have been given unto the brown masses, too afraid of racism to ever confront it. And the paywall is one of your last tools to keep these people out. Do you realize I was reporting the other day how the turnstile, some system they employed in, I believe, Philadelphia or somewhere. It wasn't New York. It brought down incidents in the train system by an incredible amount, proving that it really is a small number of individuals that cause the majority of problems in, for example, in this case, the metro system. And just, a little paywall, a couple bucks to get it, it's one of your last things there. But the paywalls are making the migrants mad. Can't do that either. When they're taking away all your bastions, all your methods of distance from the encroaching brown goo. It's a sci-fi term, like gray goo. Okay, I'm trying to be funny. But anyways, that was that. That was my little segment. Okay. I kind of want to tell you about these students who spelled out a terrible word with their
We're in high school
with their shirts, and it's like, and that's what everybody loses their minds. They're stabbing them in the neck. We got justifications of racial hatred, but these white students spelling a no word. We'll get to that, but my callers have been holding far too long here. 888-775-3773. We got John, Houston, Texas. How you doing, sir? You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Nick, or Senor Nick.
That's
Senor Gorgonzola. Senor Gorgonzola.
It works.
Senor Gorgonzola.
How you doing, sir?
So what is this about high school kids? That sounds like a light, what do you call it? Like a refreshment for the taste palate.
Yeah, totally. Although some might find it very distasteful what happened to these students, but basically these students were doing like some school picture, and they all had a shirt with a different letter on it because they all together spelled out class of 2026 or something like that, right? Well, some unscrupulous, radical individual students, wearing letters on their shirts got together to spell a different word, a no word, a bundle of sticks.
How did they find out about that?
Well, they took a picture. This picture gets sent to the media, and it's basically over.
They shouldn't even have put it on the social media.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, this social media is kind of a thorn in the side.
It's terrible. Yeah, I think strategically you might be right. They could have avoided it. But what kind of a joke of a country is this?
So you bring up a lot of good, interesting things. I'll have to answer some of these questions you've been asking. Like, one, is the attack on Christmas an attack on America?
Yes.
Well, what is Christmas? Is it Christian? Is it American? Is it Judeo-Christian?
Well, Christmas as we know it, in my opinion, is an American tradition. It's an American tradition popularized in the late 19th century. But it is strongly an American tradition, in my opinion. It's fine to keep it going. It shouldn't go away. But yeah. Just to be more accurate, I think that's Christmas as we know it. It calls back to very old things, Jesus, Christianity, but as we know it, it's like it's a late 19th century American tradition,
where we celebrate the life of Jesus, right?
That's true. It does reference Jesus, his birthday, and all that. That's definitely integral to the whole thing.
Okay, well, I'm moving on. I'd like to get with Mark, because Mark is like, I don't hate the Jews or anything, but I do want to know, like, why do we have to put Judea first? Like, give Judea first billing on the Christian and like the type of Christianity it is. I mean, Christianity is like a spiritual thing. Anyway,
I think it depends on who you're talking to. You know,
I've been listening to the whole show, so I'm all mixed up.
No, I tend to kind of think, how do I put this? I mean, it just depends on who you're talking to. I mean, some people say Judeo-Christian, and they're totally different than someone else saying Judeo-Christian. They're thinking different things. Some people, they say Judeo-Christian is just a tradition to them. They grew up knowing that Christianity came from Judaism. It has a deep tie to it, at least. Like, you know, Jesus was a Jew, and the Old Testament was like the Hebrews, and then like Jesus came and all that. So like, yeah, it just depends on who you're talking to. I mean, I guess someone talking to you, let's say someone's talking to you, you wouldn't say that, because to you, it's far more spiritual and all that. So it really depends on who you're talking to.
Well, like, it just doesn't make sense, and I've never understood it, and I've never understood the country.
Do you understand maybe some people who would say, who grew up with that tradition, and like the Old Testament is the Hebrews.
Talking about the Sabbath and honoring the Sabbath. And
do you understand those people who grew up like that? Even if it wasn't you?
No.
I kind of get them because they give their rationale. I mean, they say to them, it's like, it's just merely like Judaism came first, the Hebrews, and their Old Testament, and then the big response with Jesus and that whole story. So, you know, it's not totally.
You know, they tell you to work hard, but they won't tell you like why hard work's important.
Who does?
The Judeo-Christians and the people in church, the religious celebrating Catholic, whatever religion you're part of. Judeo-Christians too. They'll tell you, honor the Lord, but there's a spiritual reason that hard work is important.
And why is that?
Because if you don't do hard work, you have different thoughts. And you start to have like lazy thoughts. The thoughts that are like so for example, if you're working hard, you won't be stuck. You won't you'll think about things like your posture, because you have to use your body, right? So when you're using your posture, you'll start thinking about your physical strength, your muscles. But meanwhile, the lazy person is still thinking like dumb thoughts that they can't answer. So the difference is that hard work, the only reason for hard work is so that you can like have more of life. You can have more experiences. But in the end, hard work and laziness, those people, I don't judge either.
I think you'll find that the particularly religious people, I think even in Judaism, I think you'll find that their retelling of their religious stories and all that has like a deeper meaning. Like you said, it sounded like you were saying that other religions, they don't really get at the spirit of why. Like, for example, they'll tell you to work hard, but they're not telling you why. I think you'll find, if you maybe talk to them or see what they say about their own stories, that they have come to deeper conclusions like that as well. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I'm just saying that I think you'll come to find that they find pretty much all the religions, they find a deep meaning in their stories too, and it tells them why they're working hard.
Well,
and all that.
maybe, but they're not. They're going to tell you about their own life. I'm just telling you, this is something that I sat down and I wrote an essay on hard work because I was lazy, and I came to this conclusion.
That is interesting, man. Yeah, if you'll find yourself just like filled with that. I think I know what you mean. Like you could be pretty lazy, and just kind of like the little laziness grows into way bigger laziness, and you'll be filled with it. Your thoughts will be filled with it. Your excuses, your doubt. I think you're so right about that. What you feed does grow.
So yeah, the difference is like when you're lazy, your energy that you use to that, because what it is energy is being distributed properly with hard work.
Do you think?
Well, energy is uneven and chaotic when you're lazy, and the energy goes when the energy is balanced and everything, then the thoughts are going to, because it's not the thoughts that produce the good life, but the thoughts are what give you more of life. And the lazy people don't like get out of their house. This is all just like rambling. And
I kind of know what you mean. As I was going to ask you a question about that. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, it all grows. It can definitely grow. And what you were saying about energy is interesting, because that's how it's true. Lazy people, etc. They have like hero days. They'll put all sorts of energy into it, and then it falls off. Yeah, interesting. Are you like that maybe, or no? Do you find that?
Well, I've been listening to the show, Lee Peterson show, for a while, and 5 years, and I'm still like, it's still like kind of a chore for me to just work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I mean,
and when it comes up, no, I'm glad. No, this is why I asked you, because we're getting maybe to the closer to the heart of it, of this laziness. So this chore comes up, this feeling of it's a chore comes up. What do you do when that comes up?
Okay, so what you do is that, well, you do nothing, and then like a switch flips. I mean, well, you have to know, like, you have to have a relationship with God.
But when this feeling of, it's a chore comes, this is going to be a chore.
You have
I don't want to do
what
this.
Jesse says.
Yeah, go on.
You have to like observe and be still and everything, and I was just talking about energy. Do you do the thing anyways,
even though it feels like a chore?
Sorry?
Do you do the thing anyways, even if it feels like a chore?
It's not the thing that feels like a chore. It's just relenting sometimes from my messy energy.
Would you advise? Would if someone wants to overcome laziness, and they are feeling this like feeling of, it's a chore, would you advise them to do that? To do the thing anyways, even though it feels like a chore? They came up to you like, John, I want to overcome this laziness. Everything I want to. Yes. I'm going to do something, but it feels like a chore. Would you suggest they do it anyways?
Yes, that's going to move you towards something that's trying to believe in you, trying to grow you. And I'm saying you're going to distribute energy, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to have better you're going to have a better energy output. But I'm just talking about energy.
Yeah. No, I somewhat follow, man. Hey, John, I appreciate that. Anything else you want to speak on before we move the wheels? Go ahead.
Nick, I did want to ask, are you guys going to not report on what's going on with Epstein files? That I called because I wanted to tell you that I have an article on BBC.
Oh, tell me. What's going on?
They are now have arrested a former prime minister back in 99 and 97 in Norway for being connected to Jeffrey Epstein.
Really? And wow. who arrested this guy? It looks like it's out of Norway. Like, did the Norwegian government arrest him?
Okay, his name, here's the article. It's on BBC. Former Norwegian Prime Minister Thorbjorn Jagland. And they're charging him with gross corruption.
Wow. That's actually pretty interesting.
So,
I think. What do you think about it?
Right, he had diplomatic immunity over here. And so he was brought his family to the private island, and
he's been charged.
I think this is more than just trafficking. I'll be honest. I think it's also going to expose like a type of mentality where men reject women, and they see like people as subhuman.
You're saying people are doing that, and this Epstein stuff is revealing that?
Yes, there's also a restaurant in New York called The Cannibal, and I don't want to shock you, but there's over 3 million files, and people are still going through the files right now, and it is kind of shocking. But they have now brought this. They're taking action in Norway, where they're investigating gross corruption with this person, Jagland.
And do you know why? Like, do you know the details? What he did, what he's being accused of as doing wrong, or
just having ties with Epstein. Just having ties. I mean,
they're apparently denies any criminal allegations.
So I don't know.
And so it's best to, how can you be shocked by something you're not even sure you understand? I personally would. There's a lot of there's not, I don't know what you've seen in the files, but I mean, there's maybe like
right, I didn't
weird
say what I
stuff or
saw.
conjecture or implications, but I've personally yet to be shocked by anything. But hey, I haven't seen this story myself, man. John, I appreciate you bringing it to my attention, though. I'm gonna look into this, sir. Can you call me again?
Yes, I'll let you go. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, John. Call me again, man. 888-775-3773. Right back to your calls. Right back to your calls here. It looked like a woman might be bringing that against him. And it might just be allegations at this point, because if they're saying corruption, and I can't tell from this article, it sounds like it could be corruption, but it also sounds like they're pretty mad about like possible abuse to women. It's like, it sounds like he may have brought his family there. Let me take my family to the island and abuse little children. Like, I don't know. It's hard. Why make a conclusion on this at all? What the? All right, folks, let's keep it moving here. I want to get to my calls. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate the super chat. Says, the left has turned from Christianity and now feels so empty that their new religion is the woke ideology. ICE, LGBTQ, etc. It's like their 10 commandments. That is truer than I think we know, Taylor. There is like it's like I don't know. It's like it's a different religion, a different culture, a different thing you can worship and swear allegiance to, a different dynasty that's not necessarily American. And this religion, dynasty, or whatever that you could pledge allegiance to, there's no requirement for you to love America. love your fellow man, love white people, etc. The traditions and all that of America. There's no requirement in any of this. All you got to do is swear allegiance to this dynasty, which is like, okay, I'm just not going to hate. There's no racism. Okay, no one is illegal. No human is illegal. Trans women are women. That's why you can have those people post videos, literal videos, and say, yeah, I'm only here for economics. F America. Okay, you guys are dummies letting me in. We're going to outbreed you. You can literally have people do that. And they're not going to get denaturalized or deported or, thrown in the gulag or something. Like something has to happen to those people in a serious country. Or denaturalized, etc. And that's not going to happen because they're actually, they're ahead of the curve. I want to get to Mike out of California, I believe. I appreciate your call, Mike. You're on the air.
Hey, Nick. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Nice to hear from you, man.
Amazing, bro. I think this is my first time calling in, but I might have called in like a couple years ago.
You may have called me once or twice before, actually.
Correct. Yo, I'm amazed at all this Jew hate I'm listening to. It's unbelievable.
Tell me about it.
Man,
it's like they forgot about Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus was a Jew, but I'm thinking like that one point you made that, 2,000 years ago they read something and then they're blaming the modern day Jews like as if they did something. It's craziness. It's craziness.
So true.
Really, But I don't know if people are trolling or they can't see the parallels. I think someone said, should the whites apologize to the blacks for slavery?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, not for that.
What a good question,
it's
huh?
the same thing. That was a great question. Straight logic, I actually called you to tell you about my jury duty I went to yesterday for the first time I got summoned.
Interesting.
And, huh?
I said, interesting. Lay it on us.
Very interesting, because I walked in. It was a beautiful building, right? The courthouse. And there was two portraits of Trump and Vance. I'm like, wow, California's respecting them. They're putting them up. Like, I couldn't believe it. And the illusion of life just broke right in front of me. I'm like, oh, wow, maybe California is part of America. And we are, so that was good. Well, anyways, I was sitting there admiring those portraits when this very liberal white woman, blue eyes, right? She just looked liberal. And she walked up to me and she's like, I'm disgusted that this is here, she told me.
Wait, you haven't said anything. You're just admiring them.
I'm just sitting there alone, like watching, just look. And she walks up to me looking at them like, I hate this here. And I'm like, wow. And I told her I love this here. And it was amazing. We started talking. And for something interesting happened that changed my outlook on life. We started talking. She's like, what do you like about him? I'm like, oh, well, he did a lot for my country, my original country back home. And she's like, what country is that? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you for, undisclosed. I don't want to put my country's name out there and then they're going to target us, like, whatever,
Right.
I'm careful to who I let know information. She could be CIA for all I know. But anyways, I told her that. And then she said he hates women. And I'm like, but didn't he stop the transgenders from competing with real women? And she's like, oh yeah, that's the one thing I like.
Oh, okay.
That's the one thing I agree. I'm like, wow.
She said nothing. She said hates women. But one little thing. She's like, actually, that's fine. But she what?
Yeah.
She was stuck to her hate.
I don't know. It was like I just had this overwhelming feeling of you know what? We're just all people, and she's part of that faction. She's just regurgitating all the things that she's been told to say.
Yeah.
And I noticed that whenever we went into the courtroom, and I could talk about this now because I've been dismissed.
Okay.
But what happened was, so they're picking the jurors, and so you probably heard of the situation. It happened a couple years ago. It was about a guy named Jerome Petit, right? He got shot by an officer. He was a black man who got shot by an officer in LAPD, and his sister is suing, right?
Oh.
And they're picking jurors, and the judge is Judge Wright, so he's a black judge. But he seemed like a cool guy. And they're asking all these jurors, like, if they have any biases against cops or whatever. And a lot of people are like, we hate ICE, this and that. One girl was like, there's never a reason to use deadly force. And everybody who said all those crazy things got immediately kicked off the jury.
Oh, kicked off.
You know? Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, she's
Okay.
like, I do not believe in deadly force. Okay, then why did they have guns then?
Right.
And when they picked me, like, they were like, oh, you guys have any family members who were, I'm like, yeah, my father did 18 years in prison. And they're like, oh, well, was he treated unfairly? And I'm like, no, they did a good job. You know, they came, you can rely on them if you need help to call them. And like, you know, I really wish I made it on that panel, but I got dismissed because I think it's only like 7 people they choose, and there's like 30 of us.
Oh.
So I just, you know what I'm saying?
You weren't like disqualified for any of your comments or anything.
No.
It's just they
I
didn't
just
pick
didn't
you.
get a chance to. Yeah, they didn't pick me. They were like short on time, and we were already there all day. So like I just wasn't in the row and asked a few questions, but they picked a few people. They disqualified a few other people, and then the next in line went up until everybody, both sides, just agreed to the panel, and then everyone else got dismissed. But I was thinking, I'm like, that's such a trippy like experience that I had over there, you know?
Yeah.
And I was excited to be there. Everyone else was looking for a way out, Nick.
Uh-huh.
And I was like there, well dressed. I came early. I was in a suit. People were asking me direction, like, "Oh, where's the exit?" They thought I worked there. And I was like, "It's right down that way, sir."
I'm like, I'm just here to do my civic duty. Wait.
Straight up, I was so happy to serve my
Yeah.
country.
I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm here to do my civic duty. What about you?
100%. Oh man, that was amazing, bro.
That's actually interesting. A little view of that whole process. It's an interesting little process because it's an act. Here's the whole thing that you heard about in action. You're judged by a jury of your peers, and it's nice to hear that. You know, even in California, someone so clearly with such a clear bias is not allowed on a jury. I do think about what about that one individual who would be dark enough to lie and say, you know what, I'm trying to get on this jury, even though I have major biases. You know, I wonder how much that happens in America.
Right. What I noticed was a lot of the people who did get kicked off were they were too emotional to even conceal those type of hidden agendas.
Yeah.
Right? So they would just go off and say everything on their mind, like, oh, we hate ICE, and they asked the question, like, have any of you here experienced police brutality? And, like, a bunch of hands went up. And, like, it was the usual suspects, right? Like, a fat black lady, you know, like, liberal white woman, like, just crazy. And we're listening to these people talk about what happened, like, their experience with this brutality.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not to judge, right? And I looked at the body cam footage of this case, which it's on YouTube. If he just followed like the lawful orders that the cops were giving him, he was running. They thought he had a gun with him. He was reaching for something. They're like, stop, and he kept running. And I think they just shot him down. So I don't know. It's very tough, and I do not like playing God by judging. So being there in that room, like you saw people who may be innocent. You saw people who, you know, might want to get something from the city.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch of stuff. I don't know. But I'm like, how is this room filled with us human beings? How are we going to decide what's right and wrong? Like, we're holding people's fate, like, in our hands right here. And we're playing God, and I don't know. It was
fascinating, man.
But
That's actually kind of fascinating. I mean, maybe there was a time you could trust such a thing when such a room there would be far more scrutiny and who would be in such a room, but that's
for sure. And I was surprised on how much they incorporate God in there. Like they made us swear an oath, so help us God, and like a bunch of this was just like them relying on the fact that we're going to be true to our oath to God, you know. So that's what it was, and I don't know. I'm very happy to see like that the media could have lied to me, right? I could be someone who just gets all my information from my phone, and I think that America's fallen. California is completely liberal, demon territory, and like I'm from Texas and we rock, and everyone else is like right.
Yeah.
But I'm here and I'm seeing that America's alive and well, and we're still doing our process. It's just we, the people, we decide. Like when I saw Trump's portrait with Vance, I'm like, yo, like this is what it is. Like you can hate it, love it. It's here. You're not.
And was that a worker who, or was that just some lady who was there too?
That was a fellow juror.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's interesting, man. Because what you're speaking on too is like when they say that even in liberal California, everything that's happened, they have you swearing on God. I mean, what you're describing is what for however many people want to deny it or even turn away or not admit it or whatever, that's at the core of our traditions here and the system as it stands. Or what I'm trying to say is that that's the philosophical or intellectual underpinning of that whole of what we hold of our system. You know, you could call it like the last line of defense, so to speak. That's why they'll still say it.
Oh, for sure. Because at a certain point, that's all we have left is our words. Like, you know,
I don't know how to put
it's not like it's. I don't know. I was ready to get up and say I don't believe in black and white. I mean, I don't believe in gray, like a gray area. It was either self-defense or not. Like I'm not biased. I didn't want the cops to be right. I didn't want the black people suing the cops to be right. Like I was just like, let me see the body cam footage, and I'm gonna tell you exactly from they don't have an advantage I have, right? I watch Jesse. I come to church, like. I'm present, so I'm like I'm gonna definitely give you guys the right answer on what is going down here. And I watched it, Mike. And I'm confirming to you that if the man just listened to the lawful orders, he would not be dead today.
Fascinating, man, Mike. I appreciate that, and pretty cool to hear about the whole thing. Can you call me again, man?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna keep watching.
Thank you, sir. Call me again.
Amazing. Thank you for taking my call.
Cool. 888-775-3773. I mean, a lot of things kind of at play there, right? Your jury of your peers and what your peers mean, how your peers are thinking. But California's got Mike. You know, you'd be lucky to have Mike as a jury of your peer, right? He'll be fair. What else was I thinking about though there? I see the body cam footage. I don't think we need to play it. I think I kind of remember this name, Jermaine Petit. 6 months ago, LAPD shot an unarmed Jermaine Petit. He's like running those, reaching for stuff. You know how many times I've seen runners reach and turn around and shoot behind them as they're running and shoot at officers? Like I've seen a lot of that. Happens all the time, so. Incredible. 888-775-3773. I want to get right back to my calls. Wow, in the last few minutes of the show, we really are at the end here. We're going to have to leave a lot of these stories for tomorrow, Bible Thumper Thursday, and beyond. Amazing. Yeah, wow, we really are at the end of the show. 88. Let's get to this call. How about that? How about we get to this call? Since we really are in the last few minutes. Olav, Norway. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hello. Listen, I'll take the call another time because there's probably more people on the line. Just forget I have a call.
You got a few minutes here. You don't want to take the floor?
No, forget about it. Is there more callers?
Well, there might be. Yeah. But you're next. This is all you. This time is for you. There's no one else at this moment.
Me. Listen, Nick, explain Nick Fuentes.
Explain? How do I explain a man?
Yeah, what's going on?
For me, maybe someone might be able to answer such a thing, but I don't know how to answer that question. For me, your question has to be a little bit more specific.
Like, who is he?
He is an American man.
No, but why is he popular?
Oh, okay. that's I think a fine question. Why is he popular? I mean, well, he's popular because he's young, charismatic. He's a young, charismatic guy and he's bold. He's a young man, he's a young, charismatic man who's right, and he's stuck his neck out for America. I mean, these are kind of the things that come to mind. And yeah, he's charismatic, he's funny, and he's informative. I think those are, yeah.
So that's what you guys think.
That's what I think. That's what you asked me, and I'm just telling you what I think. I could probably expand, but because of time, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. No, I just don't get the whole thing, because I understand that obviously there's something there, but it just doesn't seem like we already have a figure like that in Europe, and I mean, it's just he just doesn't seem that influential to me. He might be big, but there's just I don't know. I can't understand it.
Have you watched this show?
Yep.
Oh.
Oh no!
And you
not
still
his show,
don't
no.
understand type thing, like you've seen him. You're not. The reason because I'm just trying to be logical here, right? Like if it's like I don't understand why someone's popular. I guess the next thing you do, if you really wanted to answer such a question, is like, well, let me see what he's about. Let me hear him talk. Maybe that's why he's popular. You're telling me you already did that and you still don't understand.
Yeah,
or it's still something that's just like foreign to you.
For me,
you don't see
me,
why someone would like what he's saying or doing.
Actually, not really, because I mean, listen, I don't think he's a Nazi, right? But I mean, he is kind of a Hitler fanboy, and I'm not a fan of that, because during World War II, the Germans came over and occupied Norway, right? And obviously they killed people and all that. And it's kind of like the equivalent of a father killing his own son. And I don't get why he's popular over here, the whole Hitler thing.
You think that's what he wants?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it either, because I don't know.
I just don't
I don't get that
understand it.
impression. But if you don't think that and I don't think that, then...
But he did say he was pretty cool.
But you said you don't think he's like a Nazi and is trying to bring back the Nazis, or do you maybe kind of think he might be?
I just know that he said that he thinks he's cool, and he's said stuff like that for a while. He said it on Piers Morgan.
Is there anyone that maybe a lot of people might dislike, but there are things you like about that person, despite such public dislike? Is there anyone that comes to mind for you?
Well, for me, well...
Do you have a figure like that for you? Is there someone you like appreciate, or even like some parts of, even though publicly...
I mean, listen,
most
I
people
don't
would
really
hate?
even know that much about Trump. All I know is that he doesn't want his country to die. But it's funny, because that's one of the things I learned from Derek and Kurtz talking about the whole Nick Fuentes Trump thing. Is that we can disagree on certain things, but if the choice was between let's say Nick Fuentes and some Democrat, I mean, you'd want to vote for him, because I mean you'd put all the things you disagree with on. So even if you don't like him, a lot of people probably don't like Trump, and whatever. But it's like you've got to put it to the side and do what's best for your country, even if you don't like him. All the liberals should vote for Trump anyway.
So if you were in America and it was choice, and you could vote in America, and it was between Fuentes and a Democrat, you're saying you'd vote Fuentes?
Yes, because I would want a country rather than not.
Well, I think many would agree with you, Olav. And that is a fine strategy. Olav, man, can you call me again? We are at the end of the show.
You have a good one.
Appreciate it, Olav. Call me again. All right, folks, we really are at the end. We got to the super chats, the topics, and of course, all of your calls. Look at all those coffees. Jermaine, someone. Look at all those super chats. Thank you, Taylor, Moses, Walker, Roscoe, Jermaine. And of course, my people on Rumble. Let me see here. That's everything, folks. More American Anchor Baby tomorrow. But that's after Bible Thumper Thursday with Jesse Lee Peterson, the Hake Report, and of course, more American Anchor Baby. Appreciate it, folks. Take care for now. And all my callers, sorry I couldn't get to all of you. I shall see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Bye-bye.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.